Somebody reached out and asked me about desire and wanting, and how we can get into and how life can seem pretty pointless, right? If we can't have nice things and do nice things. And this is a really interesting point because it was something that I actually struggled with myself around February last year, so February 2022. And I actually got to ask Rupert Spira about it in one of his webinars, which was like, I felt very grateful for that opportunity. And he said to me then that there are two different types of desires. There's the ones that are going towards love, and then there are the ones that are coming from love. And it's the ones that are coming from love that are the ones that you want to divest your energy in and your time in, because you know that you're not seeking anything from outside of yourself. And I understood all of that in principle, but it wasn't until sort of fairly recently where I had this sort of experience where I realized, and it wasn't even something that I was aware of the moment it happened, but about 3 weeks had gone by and I realized that I was very present, that I had this really deep understanding that everything was perfect and everything was sort of working out, and that I was approaching a lot of elements in my life from a real place of happiness and peace. And perhaps the moment I recognized that that's how I'd been living my life, maybe the ego had come back in, or the separate self had come back in. I'm not entirely sure. But in this moment, in these few weeks, I realized that everything was nothing and nothing was everything. And it was sort of like I took this big step back and then I re-entered back into the world. Again, it's I don't really know how more I can describe it than that. But when I came back into the world, I just felt that I could do or be anything because I was everything, and that I wasn't a victim of the world that I had once perceived myself to be. And this is where my understanding of desire and like wanting things completely sort of flipped on its head, in the sense that I recognize that it really doesn't matter if you do, and it doesn't matter if you don't. It doesn't matter if you have a house and it doesn't matter if you do. Like, that's all still perfect and fine. Whereas before I'd had this understanding that wanting things was egoic and unnecessary, but it's because I had a vested interest in it. And then once I lost that interest in it, once I lost the understanding that I needed it for any certain thing, once I lost my attachment to it, it freed me into really just having everything, because I already have everything now. So wanting things in life is completely fine, obviously, but what I recognize is that it doesn't feel fine as long as there's an attachment to it. Like, there's an attachment to wanting that specific thing. As long as you don't have an attachment to it, and that's sort of a genuine disattachment where you recognize it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do have it, and it doesn't matter if you don't have it. You don't need it in any specific way. Once you've sort of lost that, then you can see that, of course, it's fine. It's completely fine to have whatever you want. And I remember, early last year, thinking that I had to have nothing and live off bread and vegetables or whatever it was, and that I wasn't allowed to have anything because I was still attaching some sort of significance onto things and experience. Whereas now that has sort of gone, and now I just recognize that whatever it is that I am doing or wherever it is I am is the perfect place, because it's here and it's now, and that's all I ever have. And that it doesn't matter if I do have a house or it doesn't matter if I don't have a house, because I'm happy now and I'm grateful for what I have now. So of course there's nothing wrong with desire, but the ego will make you think that there is something wrong with it, because it's trying to keep you from learning who you are, and it's trying to keep you from learning the truth. Because when you learn the truth and you live from the truth, the ego no longer exists. It doesn't have its separate identity, because you've come to recognize that it is just consciousness in a finite form, and that finite form is not separate from anything, but it's just a part of a larger part of consciousness. So I hope this helps in that understanding. A lot of this is sort of putting things into practice and listening, and you know, I struggled for months with this, but that's okay. It's all fine. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of what I needed to experience. And just keep believing that you've got this, and that you can life can change at any moment, and everything that's holding you back are just beliefs about things that aren't necessarily true. And one day, you know, you might have that epiphany, or you might have really stepped back from experience, and then I see now why I had to let go of a lot of that stuff, or why I had to experience a lot of that stuff in order to let go of it and be new. It's all working out. I know I say that so many times, but I think to have that real understanding in your body, then obviously everything will just work out from there.